Whenever I hear the term unrecognized potential, I immediately think about a few specific things. The concept of time used as a currency as seen in the movie In Time, the video game Destrega for the PlayStation, a truly communistic society, and the RPG Dragon's Dogma. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, worry not, for I shall tell you the tale of one of the best RPGs ever made, and why it failed. I'll mostly speak about the Steam version, because it's in 60 FPS, and actually looks okay, compared to the not even 30 FPS grey mess that is the PS3 version. The Steam version also includes the game's DLC, Dark Arisen, which is without a doubt the superior way to experience Dragon's Dogma. The single greatest thing that Dragon's Dogma implemented is the unique combat system. If you're sick and tired of whacking away at the ankles of a massive boss, fear not! The combat system has borrowed the climbing mechanic from another great giant, Shadow of the Colossus. So if you want to drive your huge blade into the eye of a cyclops, you can just climb up and do it. If you want to fight a dragon in the sky, you can do that too, although you'll probably die in the process. This makes the combat exponentially more epic, and it feels like a grand battle whenever you face a boss, like it should be. I find it quite puzzling that no other RPG has followed suit and done something similar with their combat. Being able to climb large structures and monsters like this is nothing short of perfection. But that's not even close to everything that makes the combat in Dragon's Dogma shine. Normally, if you're playing a mage in an RPG, you can pretty much only shoot lousy fireballs. Pew pew pew! You can shoot lousy fireballs in this game too, but once you rise through the ranks of the Mage and Sorcerer vocations, you start to feel like Gandalf is nothing compared to you. You can create chaos upon the battlefield by unleashing a fucking tornado, summoning meteors, impaling your enemies with enormous ice spikes, and create powerful rock eruptions from the earth itself. With a swing of your staff, you turn the tides of battle in your favor, and you actually feel extremely powerful, like a magic user should. But if a magic user isn't your fancy, you also have the classic fighter and strider, which is basically a rogue. These three are starting classes in the game, and you can choose whichever you want after completing the introduction. Capcom, yes, Capcom made Dragon's Dogma, strangely enough, created 6 additional classes which you can get by spending discipline, which you get by fighting enemies and completing quests. There's 3 classes that builds upon the starting classes: Warrior, which brings destruction through heavy weapons, but lacks defensive capabilities. The Ranger, which has a larger focus on the bow and powerful long-range shots. And last but not least, the Sorcerer, which casts the aforementioned meteors, ice spikes and other powerful spells. So I must surely be done by now, right? No. Not even close. Here comes the second greatest thing Capcom did with Dragon's Dogma: the mixed classes. What do you get when you mix a mage with a strider with a fighter, and a fighter with a mage? You get 3 impressive classes: the magic archer, the assassin, and my personal favorite, the mystic knight. What's interesting is that the combined classes each have their own unique spells. For example, the Mystic Knight can enchant their shield with several elements and reflect magic upon foes foolish enough to strike you. If defense isn't your style, you can always go on the offensive with magic sigils, earth-shattering eruptions, or a simple mace to the skull. There's also a third great thing they did with the combat, and I've already mentioned it. It's the unrivaled boss battles. Let me just preface this by saying that I still believe bosses in other games are better. Master Hand in Smash Bros. For the 64, Mike Tyson in Punch-Out, Knight Artorias from Dark Souls, and Darkseid from Kingdom Hearts are great boss battles, not only for the combat and struggle itself, but for many reasons. The epicness, the challenge, the emotions, and destiny. which is what makes these kinds of bosses extra memorable. And unfortunately, this is something that the bosses in Dragon's Dogma lacks. There are very few bosses that are interesting story-wise, but despite this, Dragon's Dogma has some of the best boss battles in gaming. Why that is fairly easy to figure out, and it is almost immediately clear if you've tried the game out by yourself. It's the combat, combined with available strategies for taking down your foe. It's just a shame that there isn't really many bosses in the game either, and the same goes for enemies. The enemies all spawn from a particular set of locations, and there's hardly any variety to them. I don't know how many times my party members have cried goblins or harpies over and over again. When they shout out strategies, which they can learn in battle, it works, and it works well. But most of the time they point out such obvious things again and again, and this quickly gets tiring.
Shut the fuck up!
And here we tie into the pawn system. Pawns in Dragon's Dogma functions like your, well, pawn. You create their character and they will from there on out follow you wherever you may go, even through the dark depths of Bitterback Isle, a huge island which acts as the DLC for the game. But as in addition to this, Capcom had this great idea. Dude, what if we made these pawns, dude? Like comrades that you can trade, like Pokemon. They can return with loot from other players who uses your pawn, man. Sounds really fucking good. But somehow they missed the great opportunity to implement multiplayer, which would actually have been amazing. And honestly, if Dragon's Dogma implemented multiplayer, I would easily consider it to be one of the most fun games ever made. So pretty much the only thing I haven't touched upon yet is the customization and story. We'll take the good news first, the customization. You can customize your character pretty much however you'd like, and there are cool armors in the game too, a lot of them. And if you want to have a different chest piece with something underneath, you can do that, and the same goes for the legs. That's pretty cool, but that's pretty much it too. Alright, now the less good stuff. The story. It's passable at times. But what really makes it fall is that the pacing is frustratingly bad. It starts off really good, a dragon attacks your peaceful village and steals your heart, and yet you somehow manage to live, because logic is unnecessary in this game. Then you learn that you're the Arisen, and your job is to find the dragon and kill it, thus regaining your heart. That's the synopsis of the story. But it does have some layers to it, stuff that makes it more intriguing, interesting. It also ends pretty good in my opinion, but approximately halfway into the game, the story just takes a seemingly huge pause, and it sometimes seems like you're playing separate games if you're not paying close attention to details, and yeah, it can get quite messy. It's clear that Dragon's Dogma had an almost unmatched potential, one that could even rival the Grace within the RPG genre. It's very strange that we haven't really seen anything new from the series, considering that the game was quite a success commercially. The only thing we have at the moment is a port for the PC and an MMO for the Eastern scene. To me, Dragon's Dogma is nothing short of amazing, a journey of wonder and adventures. It just lacks something to make it complete. And it's so close to being that perfect game. But to me, Dragon's Dogma will forever be the masterpiece that never was.